Looking like Codemasters have now dropped the Colin McRae moniker, this teaser trailer of Dirt 3 looks set to continue where the last game left off. But now with more tracks, cars, weather conditions, and Gymkhana events, the game looks set to improve on what is probably one of my favourite racing titles ever.
So one of the big things for us with DJ2 was we wanted it to be more than just a game. You know, it had to be about inspiring a party in your living room, playing together and enjoying the music. Multiplayer in 2 is vast. There are 6 new modes: Party Play, Streak, DJ Battle, Straight Up Head to Head, Checkpoint Challenge and Accumulator. Party Play is awesome. We wanted it to be about people being able to jump in and jump out whenever they wanted. So you can set the set list up and it will just be playing away in the background, and I'm going to come up and I want to play this track. So I'll jump in, then my buddy's going to come along and he'll jump in as a DJ, so now we've got 2 DJs playing. Somebody else is going to come along and they're going to want to sing the vocals. I want to go get a drink, so I'm going to drop out. Music's still playing seamlessly, party's still going, everyone's having fun. Streak is about banking your note streak. If you drop your note streak, you've got no points, so you've got to build it up again. You're setting the bar for the other guy to beat. We have Straight Up Head to Head, so you're playing the same mix together, except this time, you know, you can drop a vocalist over the top. The vocalist is scored as well. Having someone on vocals changes the whole dynamic in a room, especially like halfway through where they're about to sing something. You hit freestyle sketch and then you scratch it and really screw them up. That's quite funny.
When I were a lad, it were hard life. My dad used to work down at pit. He'd be down here for 40 hours a day, and then he'd come home and beat me mum. Then he'd go to the pub, come home again, beat me mum again, beat me, and then he'd go back down at pit for another 40 hours. It were hard life. Reason this game makes me think of that is this game is as hard as that. It's that hard that you'll probably play it for 40 hours a day, and by ending it, you'll want to beat your wife. That's if you've got a wife, that is. If you ain't, you might just go out and shout in the street and that. Look a bit mental. What you might get from that then is this game ain't for everyone. If you're a casual gamer or someone that likes to play things on easy so that you can see everything game has to offer, then you could go and make a cup of tea or something for the next 3 minutes. If, however, you're a fan of harder than hell action RPGs, then you've come to the right place. This is Demon's Souls, and it is definitely not for Wii owners. Especially since it's not available on Wii, but you know what I mean. The game starts in usual way. Choose a character from a bunch of RPG staple presets, customise his or her look, then on to introduction. There is a plot, but I'm damned if I can work it out. It's got something to do with fog, and dragons, and demons, and thongs. All the usual stuff that you find in RPGs. Next up, the tutorial. And this is quite an introduction. And from here on in, it's only going to get worse. You're going to die a lot. In fact, if you haven't broken at least one pad in the first 3 or 4 hours of play, you either have patience of a saint, or you've been smoking too much wacky backy. But don't let that put you off. The depth of options available to your character is at first overwhelming. Any Souls gained from killing enemies can be spent on levelling up, one of 8 different attributes, you know, sort of thing: strength, magic, dexterity, alcoholism. The way Demon's Souls works though is that just because you start life as a mighty warrior or an agile hunter doesn't mean you can't develop in other areas and become a cunning magician or a well-rounded melee and magic user or a call centre operator. Then there's the levelling up of weapons and shields. This is done by collecting different sharpening stones and talking to different blacksmiths. If all this is starting to sound a little bit complicated, it's because it is. But with the immense challenge and wealth of different ways to play comes an immense satisfaction when it finally clicks, and you start to learn the patterns and strategies to deal with any foe. Well, almost any foe. Then there's the unique and frankly fantastic way in which multiplayer works. So long as your PS3 is online, you often encounter messages on floor left by other players. These messages are most often helpful, pointing out potential ambushes or treasure, or just telling you how to deal with certain enemies. In doing this, From Software have made an essentially single-player experience far richer, merely by allowing people to share their knowledge and experience. Then there's the player versus player, although as you can see by this I'm not quite strong or good enough at that yet. But basically, when you think you are, you can go and invade other people's games and take them on in a fight. So, Demon's Souls is as hard as going Dark Pit for 40 hours a day. But unlike going Dark Pit for 40 hours a day, if you persevere with the countless and almost instant deaths at first few hours and take time to understand the combat system, you're rewarded with one of the deepest, most flexible and ultimately satisfying action RPGs on market today. And if you excel at combat and build yourself a warrior fit to fight best on Tinternet, then you'll still be playing this game this time next year for 40 hours a day. Just don't beat your wife. If you got one.
What on earth are you doing? Please, you must not. I thought we were allies.
Cashback! That's what all movie tie-ins are about. Money in sweaty palms. And what's wrong with that? Well, I suppose you are using easily swayed minds of children to mind that poor mother and fathers into parting with solid hard-earned money. Mind you, if it keeps little bleeders quiet for an hour or two, then it might seem like money well spent. That is until you realise that you've probably replaced one annoyance with another.
Jump! Jump!
Sally, turn that bloody thing down! Give me a right headache! Saying that though, Disney Property has a record of producing some half-decent game tie-ins. Aladdin wasn't bad on Mega Drive and some of them Mickey Mouse and DuckTales titles. So does this follow suit with them examples? Well, it's certainly an awful game, and I'm gonna say this game ain't aimed at likes of me. It's aimed at nippers, innit? Even with that in mind, game don't patronise its audience with a piece of piss title. Game will present somewhat of a challenge to most youngsters, with even me sen tested at some stages. The game switches between familiar scenes from film and new areas which represent the imaginary play worlds and characters. Now, each area tends to have very different styles of play, with Woody's Roundup almost a sandbox type area, probably providing most of the game's longevity. Other levels switch between Rebel Assault style shooter to puzzly platformers. This is a brave decision, and whilst it does keep game varied, you do have to wonder if developers didn't really know what type of game they wanted to create in first place, so just went for broke and tried doing about 5. With none of the styles really executed with anything but an average game design. It also makes continuity at game a bit disjointed, with storyline not really having any flow, with some at levels feeling much more interesting than others, and ultimately disappointed when a particularly enjoyable moment is over so quickly. The game looks and sounds a bit like Toy Story 3, despite missing voiceover work at titled characters, with that gap filled by Postman from Cheers and that little bald fella from A Princess Bride.
Inconceivable!
Love that film. So I presume people at Disney feel this is enough for Littlins. And they're probably right, I think it is. It certainly won't win any awards or reduce grown men to tears like work of art that its source material is based on. But if it helps Pixar to keep creating wonderful, smart and funny films that they do, then I'm not going to complain too much. Apart from if she don't turn that bloody thing down. Sally! Sally, what have I told her? Oh, now, Meg! Don't start crying, you know that won't fly with me.
Well, that's all we've got time for this month. In the meantime, if there's absolutely anything you'd like to get in contact with us about, don't hesitate to email neiljones@gaminggents.com. The next fresh episode will begin broadcasting on September the 6th. Don't forget to keep checking the website for updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with a bit more of DC Universe Online. Huzzah!
Batman! Adam!
You don't deserve to live! Diana.
Beaten by a mere man.
No. You've lost everything.
No, I beat you.
Lex Luthor!
Brainiac had returned. For years, he'd been stealing the powers of Earth's protectors, but we were too busy fighting amongst ourselves to see the danger. With you three dead, Brainiac quickly eliminated the remaining heroes. The lucky ones died fighting. Finally, I alone survived, a rat in the walls of the Brainiac construct. I have traveled through time to warn you. This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together, we must change it.
What have you done, Luthor?
Given you a fighting chance.
He's lying. It's some kind of trap. Why should we trust you?
Because if you don't, Earth is doomed.